Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking head coaching candidates. But before we get started, just wanted to mention you can follow along with me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcasts. You can call in, leave me your question. I'll try to get to it on the show. So today we are playing a game. It's called Smash or Pass. If you're unfamiliar, I'm not going to get into the details, but all you need to know is Smash, I would take them as a head coach, and Pass, I would not take them as a head coach. And this game was inspired by someone who commented. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly who it was who commented, but someone commented on my Instagram and said to play the game MFK. If you're not familiar, Google it. And I had to pick between Harbaugh, Patricia, and the third was Bill O'Brien. And spoiler alert, I would pass on all those, but it got me thinking, let's just make this simple. Let's do Smash or Pass and see of all. I have a whole list of candidates we're going to go through, and let's get into it. So I kind of tried to do this in alphabetical order a little bit. It's, again, a little out of order, but for the most part, it's in alphabetical order of any coaching candidate that I've seen it thrown out there for 2021. We'll start with Dennis Allen, the Saints defensive coordinator. I'm going to say pass. Bad head coach in Oakland. Great as a defensive coordinator this year. Decent the past 3 years. But other than that, like, he's no, I'm really all set with Dennis Allen. I'll pass. Next up, Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I'm smashing Eric Bieniemy. Andy Reid loves him. He's involved in the game plans. I know he doesn't necessarily call the plays all the time, and Andy Reid is the one who is more in the play design, but I think we're minimizing what Eric Bieniemy has done with the Kansas City Chiefs if we are just talking about, oh, it's only Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes just goes to the quarterback coach and that's it. I find it hard to believe that someone who's been with Andy Reid for the last 7 years and has been the offensive coordinator for 3 or 4 years at this point is not qualified to coach. Supposedly Reid loves him. Players love him. So I would definitely smash Eric Bieniemy. Joe Brady, the Panthers offensive coordinator, we're smashing. I would absolutely love it if Joe Brady was the head coach of the New York Jets. He's with New Orleans as an offensive assistant, then over to LSU as the passing game coordinator, then to the Panthers this past year as the OC with Matt Rule. A lot of people think he's the next McVay. I strongly agree with that statement. I think he is going to get a head coaching job very soon, and I would love it if the New York Jets were on that bandwagon. Todd Bowles, Bucks defensive coordinator. LOL. Pass. No, nothing else needs to be said. Pass. Matt Campbell, Iowa State head coach. Oh, we're smashing. Turned Iowa State around, worked on both sides of the ball, defensive line, offensive line, a program builder. A lot of people say Matt Rule light. I would love it if Matt Campbell was the head coach of the New York Jets. Yes, I'm okay with going the college route. Give me Matt Campbell. Pete Carmichael, Saints offensive coordinator. Smash. He's the one who brought in Joe Brady in the first place. He has a good offensive mind. Yes, Sean Payton is probably more involved, but let's not pretend like Carmichael wouldn't be a great addition based off all the knowledge I'm sure that he's soaked up from Sean Payton. So sure, yeah, we can smash. Brian Daboll, Bills offensive coordinator. Smash. I would like it if he was the next head coach. I think he's done a great job in Buffalo building an offense for Josh Allen, who, I mean, let's face it, he's a flawed quarterback. They've gotten more out of him than the Jets have gotten out of Sam Darnold, which is sad because prospect-wise, I think there's no questioning that Sam Darnold was the better prospect, but they built that offense around Allen. I think he does a really good job of using what he has and getting the most out of him. So I would be very enticed by Brian Daboll. Matt Eberflus, Colts defensive coordinator. Pass. They've had a good defense this year. He doesn't really move the needle much for me. I'm going to say pass. Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern. Smash. Sure, we'll take it. He's been there for a long time. I don't think he's going to leave, so I wouldn't put him very high up on my list. But yeah, sure, he could be the Jets head coach. I'm intrigued by what he's been able to do at that program, and I'm not opposed to dipping into the college ring. So yeah, sign me up. Leslie Frazier, Bills defensive coordinator. Pass. I'm not really interested in bringing in a coordinator like that. He's been fine. I just think he's better suited as a defensive coordinator. I don't think he moves the needle enough for me to want him as the next head coach of the Jets. Nathaniel Hackett, Packers OC. Pass. I just think it's Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. I'm not really intrigued by Hackett, so I'll say pass. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan head coach. LOL. Hard pass. I want no part of Jim Harbaugh. Talked about it in other videos, but just briefly to say why I want no part of him. I think he's done an awful job at Michigan. They have good recruiting classes every single year. They always seem to underachieve. And it's been a long time since he's had success in the NFL. And he did have success with San Francisco. I'm not saying that he didn't, but the ending is what really scares me off. He wanted to fight for more power. I don't want to give a head coach a ton of power. Let Joe Douglas build this roster and this team. if he would be brought in here, he would overthrow Joe Douglas, like what Adam Gase did. Now, granted, Harbaugh has more credentials than Adam Gase. I just think it's a toxic relationship, and it would just be bringing in a big name. I'm not for it. I think it would be a mistake. Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers, I'd say smash. He's not super high up on my list, but I think he's done a really, really good job with that offense under Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians seems to love the guy and trust him a lot, so I know that, yes, right now Tom Brady's done a lot, but he did get a decent amount of Jameis Winston, who's an extremely flawed quarterback, so I like him. I think he'd be an intriguing option as a head coach. Don Martindale, Ravens DC, I'll say pass. I'm not super intrigued by him. Yeah, their defense is pretty solid, and I think he will get interviewed with the Joe Douglas connection, but I don't know if he's anything more than a defensive coordinator. I wouldn't be super intrigued if that was the decision that the Jets went with. Josh McDaniels, Patriots offensive coordinator, pass. Yes, he's done a good job with that offense, but I don't know. He seems, I'm going to go toxic. I'll say the word toxic. He took the Colts job, backed out, went back there. I think he's just going to stay in New England, and whenever Bill Belichick decides to step away, he'll take over in a few years. So I'm all set on Josh McDaniels. Todd Monken, Georgia's offensive coordinator. Yeah, I would liked him a couple of years ago. I thought he would have been good. He did a lot with the Tampa Bay offense. He's intriguing. He's done a good job at Georgia. I would absolutely be involved or be pro bringing Todd Monken in. I think he's done a good job. Doug Pederson, Eagles head coach. I believe he's going to get fired. If he were to get fired, I think he would get an interview here, and I am passing on Doug Pederson. Yes, he won a Super Bowl not too long ago. I think he's someone who needs a reset. Like, he's probably going to get fired after this year. Take a year, reset. It would be very similar to the Mike McCarthy scenario. I would say Harbaugh is probably a little more close to Mike McCarthy a couple of years ago. I just think he needs a little bit of time. Maybe, take a couple of years as an offensive coordinator, do some good work, and then get back. I do like that he's an aggressive coach, but something's gone wrong in Philly, and I don't know. I'm really all set here. Jack Del Rio, the Washington football team defensive coordinator, pass. He's been a head coach a few different stints with the Jaguars and the Raiders. He was okay. I don't know. I'm okay with retreads. I think he's a very good defensive coordinator, but I'm not really interested in a head coach. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator of the Ravens. I would still smash. I just don't think it's as high up on the list as what it was a few weeks ago. I think with their offense struggling, he's obviously taken a little bit of a hit in stock, but I'm still intrigued by him. Obviously enough to say where, yeah, I'd be okay bringing him in, but he's not at the very tip top of my list right now. Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator. If you get the right OC, sure, we can smash. I think that he is intriguing. I do think he's going to get a job at some point. I look at him as a leader. Like, they've had a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and he still gets a lot out of that unit. I think he's going to get a job. And again, if you hire him, you got to hire a good offensive coordinator. I'm not opposed to the idea. Again, he's not super high on my list, but I would be at least intrigued by it. I can't, sorry. Brian Schottenheimer, offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, absolutely not. Pass. He was an awful offensive coordinator when he was here with the Jets. I think he's been flawed in Seattle as well. I want zero part of Brian Schottenheimer, absolutely not. Nick Sirianni, offensive coordinator of the Colts. I'm going to say pass. He doesn't really move the needle enough. I think he needs more time as a coordinator before I'm really looking at him as a legitimate head coaching candidate, so I'm going to say pass on him. Arthur Smith, Titans OC, smash. I think he's done a really good job with the Titans and with Tannehill, who, again, I think Tannehill's a flawed quarterback, but he's gotten a ton out of him. That offense has been really, really good. So, yeah, sure, we can smash. Brandon Staley, Rams defensive coordinator, pass. This guy was coaching Division III football just a few years ago. He's not ready. It's not time for him. He's done a good job this year, no doubt about it. Extremely talented roster, but I'm really all set. I don't think he's a legitimate head coaching candidate just yet. And last but not least, Dave Taub, Chiefs special teams coach. Maybe, depending on the OC, I'm borderline. He's on the fence. Sure, we'll go smash. Sure, we'll smash, but I just don't think it's very high up on my list. If they did hire it, I think it would be okay. I don't think it's great. I don't think it would be an awful hire. I think it would just be okay, and you'd have to go younger, exciting coordinators because he's a little bit on the older side. Yes, he's been an assistant coach for a while now with Andy Reid, and that's intriguing to me, but I think you'd have to get the coordinators right. So that's pretty much every single coaching candidate that I know of. If I missed one, let me know in the comments down below. And also, you can comment and let me know with the list that I have whether you would smash or pass. So I'm Matt O'Leary. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll talk to you next time.